Rollover images, as the name implies, are designed to react when someone moves their cursor over an image. The effect can be as subtle or as dramatic as you want it to be, but the technology behind it is remarkably simple. You start with 2 images, which you should prepare in advance in a program like Adobe Photoshop. I've included all of the images you see in this lesson on your DVD, so you can use them to follow along. But you can use any 2 images in a rollover, as long as they're in GIF or JPEG format. Rollovers work best when the images are exactly the same size, but have some distinguishing characteristic, like 2 different colors, or even a lighter and darker shade of the same color, as long as it's something that will be noticeable when someone uses the rollover. It used to be a lot more complicated to create rollovers in Dreamweaver because you had to use the behavior options, which you'll see in a later lesson can get a little complicated. But rollovers are so popular on the internet that Macromedia added a tool just for this purpose. You'll find it under the Insert menu when you choose Image Objects. Choose Rollover Image, and in the Insert Rollover dialog, notice that there's a place for your original image, the one that appears on your page when it's first opened, as well as the rollover image, the one that appears when someone rolls a cursor over the first image. Before you link those 2 images into place, give your rollover a name. You can call it anything you like, but you shouldn't use spaces or special characters. I'm calling mine Tips because it's for the Tips and Tricks button and it helps me remember what I called it. Next, I'll link my first image. I've created a folder called Rollovers where I've saved all of my images. Notice that I've put a 1 and a 2 so that I can more easily distinguish between the first image, which I'm selecting now, and the second image. Again, just click to browse. Go to the second image. Now you do get a little preview here so you can see the difference, but I still find that if you thoughtfully name them in Photoshop, it's a lot easier to put them in place when you get into this dialog. Click OK. So I've got my first image and my second image in place. If you check the Preload Rollover Image button, when a page is opened in a browser, the second rollover image will preload with the rest of the page. That gets the image in place in advance, so there won't be any delay when visitors roll their cursors over the first image. It won't have to load at the time they're doing the rollover because it will have preloaded and already be there. So I always check the preload image button. Alternative text is inserted into the code behind your page. Your visitors don't see these words unless they have graphics turned off or they're using a browser that supports alt text. And I always recommend that you use some descriptive text here. Finally, if you want the rollover to serve as a link, which is usually the goal with this trick, use the Browse button to locate the page you want to link to in your website, and Dreamweaver will automatically create the link for you. So click Browse, and I'm going to go find the main page of my Tips and Tricks section. You can also type in a URL if you want to link to another website. Simply place your cursor in the URL box and type in any address you might want to link to. When you've got everything in place, click OK. And it's really that easy. You've created a rollover. To make sure it worked, you want to save your page and then use the preview option to preview your page in a browser. And now when I roll my cursor over, look at that. I have a rollover image. To create a row of rollover images like you see here, simply repeat those steps over and over until you have all of your images into place. And when you're done, you can have a nice navigation row like the one you see here.